Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Learning Podcast, the place where we help you improve your English step by step. I'm Jason, your host, and as always, I'm joined by my amazing co-host, Julia.
Hey Jason! Hey everyone! We're so excited about today's episode because we're going to talk about something that so many English learners struggle with: understanding fast English.
That's right. Have you ever been watching a movie or listening to native speakers and it just sounds like a blur of words? You catch a few words, but most of it goes right over your head?
Exactly. And then you think, oh no, my English isn't good enough. But here's the truth, it's not your fault. English sounds fast because of the way native speakers connect words, reduce sounds, and speak naturally.
Yes. So today, we're going to break it all down for you. We'll explain why fast English is hard to understand, how native speakers actually talk, and most importantly, strategies to improve your listening skills.
By the end of this episode, you'll feel more confident and ready to understand English speakers, even when they talk fast. So, get ready to take some notes and learn with us.
And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. Also, stay until the end because we'll give you some practical exercises you can do every day to train your ears for fast English.
All right, Jason, let's get started. First, let's talk about why English sounds so fast to learners.
All right, now let's dive into our first big question: why does English sound so fast to learners?
Yes, many learners feel like native speakers talk at lightning speed, but actually, English isn't necessarily faster than other languages. It just sounds that way because of the way we connect words, reduce sounds, and stress certain syllables.
Exactly. Let's break it down. The first reason English sounds fast is connected speech. This means native speakers link words together instead of pronouncing them separately.
For example, let's take the phrase, "What are you doing?" A learner might expect to hear each word clearly, "What are you doing?" But a native speaker says it much faster, like, "What you doing?"
That's a great example. And here's another one. Instead of saying, "Did you eat?" we often say, "Did ya eat?"
Yes. So if you're expecting to hear every single word clearly, it can be really confusing when native speakers blend words together.
Right. The second reason is word reductions. Native speakers shorten words in casual speech. For example, going to, gonna, I'm gonna call you. Want to, wanna, do you wanna go? Got to, gotta, I gotta go now.
And let's not forget contractions. Instead of I am, we say I'm. Instead of he will, we say he'll. If you're not used to hearing these shortened forms, it can feel like words are disappearing.
That's so true. And the third reason fast English is hard to understand is unstressed words. English speakers don't pronounce every word with equal weight. Some words are stressed, and others are weaker and faster.
Exactly. Take the sentence, "I went to the store." A learner might expect to hear every word clearly, "I went to the store."
But in real speech, we say, I went to the store. The words to and the become so weak that they almost disappear.
So if you're struggling to understand fast English, it's not because your English is bad. It's because native speakers don't speak the way textbooks teach.
That's right. But don't worry. We're going to teach you some great strategies to train your ears and start understanding fast English more easily.
Yes. Coming up next, we'll talk about the common features of fast English and how you can recognize them.
Now that we know why English sounds fast, let's break it down even further. What exactly makes native English speech sound so different from textbook English?
Great question, Jason. There are three major features of fast English that every learner needs to understand. 1. Linking sounds. 2. Word reductions. 3. Dropped sounds.
Let's start with linking sounds. In English, words don't always stand alone, they connect to the words next to them.
Right. A great example is turn it off. A learner might expect to hear each word clearly, turn it off. But in real speech, it sounds like turn it off. The words blend together.
Yes, and here's another one, I need a nap. It often sounds like I need a nap. The words need and a connect so smoothly that the D sound blends in.
That's a great example, and that brings us to the second feature, word reductions. Native speakers shorten common phrases all the time.
Yes, instead of I am going to, we say I'm gonna. Instead of do you want to, we say do you wanna?
And instead of what are you doing, we often say what you doing. These reductions make speech faster and smoother, but they can be really confusing if you're not used to them.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our third feature, dropped sounds. In casual speech, we don't pronounce every single letter. Some sounds just disappear.
Yes, a great example is internet. We don't usually say internet. Instead, we say internet. The T sound gets softer or disappears.
That's so true. And here's another one I don't know. Instead of pronouncing every letter, many native speakers say, I don't know. The T sound is dropped completely.
Right. These dropped sounds happen a lot in fast speech, which is why learners often feel like they're missing words, even though they're actually just hearing natural English.
Exactly. So, if you've ever thought, why do I understand English in textbooks, but not in real life? Now you know the answer. It's because of linking, reductions, and dropped sounds.
And don't worry, coming up next, we'll share powerful strategies to train your ears so you can start understanding fast English much more easily.
All right. Now that we understand why fast English is hard to catch and the common features of fast speech, it's time for the most important part, how to train your ears to understand fast English better.
Yes. If you've ever felt frustrated because you can't catch every word in a conversation, don't worry. We have some powerful strategies that will help you improve your listening skills.
Absolutely. Let's go step by step. Strategy 1, train with slow, then fast speech.
Yes, start by listening to clear, slower English, and then gradually increase the speed. For example, if you're listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, first play it at 0.75x speed. Then, after you understand it, listen again at normal speed.
That's a great way to train your ears to recognize fast speech. And here's another trick. Many platforms like YouTube and Netflix allow you to slow down or speed up audio.
Exactly. All right, here's strategy 2. Listen and read at the same time.
This is so important. When you listen with subtitles or transcripts, your brain connects what you hear with what you see. It helps you recognize linking, reductions, and dropped sounds in real speech.
Yes, you can do this with podcasts, audiobooks, or even TV shows. First, listen with subtitles, then try listening without subtitles to test yourself.
Love that. Okay, moving on to Strategy 3 shadowing. This is one of the best techniques to improve both listening and speaking.
Oh yes, shadowing means listening to a short sentence and repeating it immediately, almost like you're an echo.
For example, if you hear, "What do you want to do?" Don't pause. Just repeat it immediately in the same speed and rhythm. What do you want to do?
Yes, this helps your ears get used to fast, natural speech, and at the same time, it improves your pronunciation.
Great tip! Now let's talk about Strategy 4, focus on keywords, not every word.
This is so important. Many learners try to understand every single word, but native speakers don't always pronounce every word clearly. Instead, focus on the main words in a sentence.
Right. If someone says, "Do you want to grab some coffee later?" don't try to hear every single sound, just focus on the important words, "want a coffee later." That's enough to understand the meaning.
Exactly. And our last tip, strategy 5, listen every day, even for 5 minutes.
Yes, the more you listen, the easier it gets. Even if you're busy, try to listen to 5 minutes of English every day, whether it's a podcast, a YouTube video, or even an English song.
That's right. Consistency is key. Over time, your ears will naturally adjust and fast English won't seem so difficult anymore.
Exactly. So, let's quickly review. Start with slow, then fast speech. Listen and read at the same time. Use shadowing to train your ears and mouth. Focus on keywords, not every word. Listen every day, even for 5 minutes.
Great summary, Jason. And coming up next, we'll give you some fun exercises you can do right now to practice these strategies.
All right. Now that we've shared some powerful strategies, let's talk about how to practice with real conversations. Because at the end of the day, the best way to understand fast English is to listen to real people speaking naturally.
Exactly. When you practice with real conversations, you get used to the way native speakers talk, the speed, the linking sounds, and the natural flow of speech.
That's right. So, here are 3 practical ways you can train your ears with real conversations.
Let's start with Method 1. Watch TV shows, movies, or YouTube videos with real dialogue.
Yes, shows like Friends, The Office, or Modern Family have natural, everyday English conversations. And if you're watching on YouTube, look for real-life interviews, vlogs, or casual discussions.
That's a great tip. And don't forget, start with subtitles, then turn them off once you feel comfortable.
Absolutely. Now, here's method 2. Listen to podcasts with real conversations.
Oh, yes. Many podcasts like this one are unscripted and natural. That means you'll hear real spoken English, just like how people talk in daily life.
Exactly. And a great way to practice is to pause after a sentence and repeat what you hear. Try to mimic the speaker's speed and pronunciation.
Yes, that's called active listening. Instead of just hearing English, you're engaging with it, which makes a huge difference.
Now, let's move on to method 3, have conversations with real people.
Yes, if you have an English-speaking friend, practice casual conversations with them. If not, you can join online language exchange programs or even talk to yourself.
Talking to yourself is a great trick. You can pretend you're in a conversation and try to respond as fast as possible, just like in real life.
That's such a smart way to improve. All right, let's quickly review. Watch TV shows and videos with real conversations. Listen to podcasts with natural speech practice, speaking with real people, or even yourself.
Exactly. And coming up next, we'll share some common mistakes learners make when listening to fast English, and how to fix them. Stay with us. Now, here's a big mindset shift that will change the way you understand English. Stop translating everything in your head.
Yes, many English learners try to listen, translate into their native language, and then understand. But this slows you down and makes it harder to follow fast conversations.
Exactly. Native speakers don't wait for you to translate. English moves fast, and if you try to translate every word, you'll fall behind in the conversation.
That's right. Instead, you need to start thinking in English.
So how do you do that? One great way is to train your brain to recognize phrases, not individual words.
Yes. For example, instead of hearing "what do you want to do" and translating each word, just recognize it as one phrase, "what do you want to do?"
That's a game changer. And another trick, when you listen to English, focus on understanding the meaning, not every word.
Yes. If you catch the main idea, you don't need to understand 100% of the words. Native speakers also don't hear every single word clearly, but they understand the message.
Exactly. So, let's summarize. Stop translating word by word. Think in English by recognizing whole phrases. Focus on the main idea, not every single word.
If you practice this daily, you'll notice a huge improvement in how fast you understand English.
Coming up next, we'll talk about how to build confidence in understanding fast English. Stay tuned. Now, let's wrap up with some quick and powerful exercises you can do every day to improve your ability to understand fast English.
Yes, these exercises will help train your ears, improve your listening speed, and boost your confidence.
All right, here's exercise 1, the 1-minute listening challenge.
Find a short 1-minute audio clip from a podcast, YouTube video, or a movie scene. First, listen without subtitles and try to catch as much as you can. Then, listen again with subtitles to check your understanding. Finally, listen a third time without subtitles to test yourself.
That's a great daily exercise. Now, exercise 2, shadowing practice.
Yes, listen to a sentence and repeat it immediately, just like an echo. Try to copy the speed, pronunciation, and rhythm of the speaker.
Perfect. And finally, exercise 3, listen and summarize.
After listening to a short conversation or podcast, try to summarize the main points in English. This helps your brain focus on meaning instead of individual words.
Amazing. Let's review 1-minute listening challenge, shadowing practice, listen, and summarize.
If you do these exercises daily, you'll start understanding fast English much more easily.
That's right. And now, let's move on to our final thoughts and a challenge for you to try. Stay with us. Wow, we've covered a lot in this episode. From why fast English is hard to understand to practical exercises that will train your ears, these strategies can truly help you improve.
Yes. And the key takeaway is this: don't get frustrated if you don't understand everything right away. Listening to fast English is a skill, and like any skill, it takes time and practice.
That's so true. So here's a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, try one of the exercises we talked about today. Maybe do the 1-minute listening challenge, try some shadowing, or practice thinking in English instead of translating.
Yes, pick one, do it daily, and let us know how it goes. You can share your experience in the comments or even send us a message.
And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with other English learners.
Also, check out our other podcast episodes for more tips on speaking and understanding English naturally.
That's it for today. Keep practicing, keep listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care and happy learning.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and joining me today is my amazing co-host, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. I'm really excited about today's episode because we're diving into a topic that so many English learners struggle with: how to understand those fast-talking native speakers.
That's right, Sarah. Whether it's watching a TV show, listening to a podcast, or even having a casual conversation with native speakers, understanding rapid speech can feel like trying to decode a secret language.
Absolutely. And trust us, we've heard this concern from countless learners. Why do native speakers talk so fast? How can I ever catch up?
Well, that's exactly what we'll tackle today. But before we dive in, let's take a moment to talk about this podcast and why it exists.
Great idea, Jason. So, for those of you who are new here, the English Learning Podcast is designed specifically for beginner English learners. Each week, we break down common challenges and give you practical tips to improve your English step by step.
That's right. And here's the thing. We don't just talk about grammar and vocabulary. We focus on real-life skills that make a difference. Today's topic is a perfect example, because learning to understand fast-talking native speakers is a skill you'll use every day. Whether you're watching a YouTube video, listening to music, or even just talking to friends.
Exactly. And Jason, I think it's important to point out that no matter where you're starting from, it's possible to get better at this. We'll show you how.
Yes, we will. So, grab your notebook or just get comfortable and let's jump into today's topic. But first, I want to share a quick story to set the stage.
Oh, I love a good story. What's this one about?
So, a few years ago, I was teaching an English class, and one of my students, let's call him Ahmed, was really frustrated. He told me, "Jason, I understand English when it's slow, but when I listen to movies or native speakers, it's like they're running a marathon, and I'm walking."
That's such a relatable experience. I've heard the same thing from so many learners.
Exactly. But here's what I told Ahmed. Understanding fast speech is like learning to ride a bike. At first, it feels impossible. But with practice, you'll find your balance. And one day, you'll realize you're keeping up without even thinking about it.
And that's so true. The strategies we'll share today will help you find your balance, just like Ahmed did.
So, are you ready to learn how to decode the mystery of fast-talking native speakers?
Let's do it.
All right, let's dive into the heart of the problem. Why do native speakers seem to talk so fast? Sarah, have you noticed how learners often say, "It feels like they're speaking at double speed"?
Oh, absolutely, Jason. And the truth is, native speakers aren't really speaking faster than usual. They're just speaking naturally. But to learners, it feels fast because of how connected and compact the speech is.
Exactly. In natural conversation, native speakers tend to link words together, skip sounds, or even blend entire phrases. For example, instead of saying, "What are you going to do?" they might say, "What you gonna do?"
And contractions are another big challenge. Instead of saying, "I do not know," they'll say, "I don't know." These shortcuts save time but can be really confusing if you're not used to them.
Yes, and let's not forget about the rhythm and intonation. Native speakers stress certain words while quickly gliding over others. For example, in the phrase, "I'm going to the store," you'll hear the emphasis on going and store, but "I'm" and "to the" are barely noticeable.
That's so true. Another reason it feels fast is vocabulary overload. Beginners often try to translate every word in their heads, and by the time they understand one word, the speaker has already moved on.
And then there's context. Native speakers rely heavily on shared context and culture. If you're not familiar with certain idioms, slang, or cultural references, it can make understanding even harder.
Right. But here's the good news. Understanding fast speech is a skill you can develop. Once you know why it feels so fast, you can focus on strategies to tackle it, which we'll share next.
All right, now that we understand why native speakers seem to talk so fast, it's time to focus on solutions. Sarah, let's share some practical tips that can help our listeners keep up with fast conversations.
Absolutely, Jason. The first tip is to stop trying to understand every single word. When native speakers talk, they often blend words and use filler phrases. Instead of focusing on every word, pay attention to the overall meaning.
That's a great point. For example, if someone says, "Hey, what do you think about grabbing lunch later?" You don't need to process every word perfectly. Just focus on the main idea, grabbing lunch later.
Exactly. Another helpful tip is to train your ears for common patterns. Native speakers often use predictable phrases like, "How's it going?" or "What's up?" Once you recognize these, you'll understand them faster without overthinking.
Yes, and practice is key. Listening to podcasts, audiobooks, or even watching TV shows with subtitles can help you get used to the natural rhythm of speech. Start by listening at a slower speed and gradually increase it as you get more comfortable.
Another tip is to focus on stressed words. Native speakers emphasize important words like nouns, verbs, and adjectives while skipping over smaller words. For example, in "I'm going to the park," the emphasis is on going and park.
That's so important. And don't forget about body language and context. When you're talking face-to-face, use gestures and facial expressions to help you understand the message. Even if you miss a word or two, these cues can fill in the gaps.
Here's another practical strategy. Get familiar with contractions and reductions. For instance, instead of hearing "do not," you'll often hear "don't," or instead of "going to," you'll hear "gonna." Learning these will help you decode speech more quickly.
And don't be afraid to ask for clarification. It's completely okay to say, "Could you repeat that?" or "What does that mean?" Most native speakers are happy to slow down or explain.
That's such an important point, Jason. Remember, understanding fast-talking native speakers isn't about perfection. It's about improvement. Every step you take brings you closer to fluency.
Absolutely. Now that we've covered the tips, let's talk about some exercises and tools you can use to practice these strategies. Now that we've shared some tips to understand fast-talking native speakers, let's talk about practical exercises and tools to put those tips into action. Sarah, what's the first exercise you'd recommend?
I'd say start with shadowing. This is a fantastic exercise where you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say immediately after hearing it. It helps you mimic their rhythm, pronunciation, and even their speed.
That's such a great exercise, Sarah. You can use short videos, podcasts, or even speeches for shadowing. Play a sentence, pause, and try to repeat it exactly as you heard it. Over time, this will train your ears to catch phrases faster.
Another effective exercise is listening to short clips repeatedly. Choose a 10 to 15-second clip of a conversation or a show and listen to it several times. The first time, focus on the overall meaning. The second time, try to pick out specific words or phrases.
Yes, and to make it even more effective, write down what you hear. This is called dictation practice. It forces you to listen closely and identify individual sounds and words. You'll be surprised how much this improves your listening skills.
Great point, Jason. And here's a fun one. Try karaoke with English songs. Singing along helps you match the pace and pronunciation of the singer. Plus, it's a lot of fun and builds confidence.
That's a favorite of mine, too. Now, let's talk about tools. One of the best tools out there is subtitles. Watch movies or shows in English with subtitles in your language first, and then switch to English subtitles. Eventually, challenge yourself to watch without any subtitles.
Another great tool is language learning apps like Duolingo, FluentU, or LingQ. Many of these apps have listening exercises specifically designed to train your ear for fast, natural speech.
And don't forget podcasts like this one. Many platforms, including ours, let you adjust the playback speed. Start slower if you need to, and gradually increase the speed to challenge yourself.
Also, find a conversation partner or join language exchange groups online. Talking to real people, even if they're not native speakers, will help you practice listening to different accents and speeds.
These are all excellent strategies and tools. Remember, consistent practice is the key to improvement. Even 10 minutes a day can make a huge difference over time.
That's so true, Jason. Listening and understanding are skills you can develop step by step. With these exercises and tools, you're well on your way to keeping up with fast-talking native speakers.
All right, let's wrap things up with some Q&A and final thoughts to inspire our listeners. Now it's time for the Q&A section. We've collected some common questions from our listeners about understanding fast-talking native speakers. Let's dive in, Sarah.
Sounds great, Jason. What's our first question?
One listener asked, "What should I do if I still don't understand someone, even after trying all the tips?"
That's a great question. First, don't panic. It's okay to miss parts of a conversation. You can politely ask the speaker to repeat themselves or slow down by saying, "Could you say that again, please?" Or, "I didn't catch that. Could you repeat it?" Most people will be happy to help.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about understanding 100% of what's said. Even native speakers don't catch every word sometimes. Focus on the main idea and use context to fill in the gaps.
Here's another question. How long does it take to improve my listening skills?
Good question. The answer depends on how much time you dedicate to practice. If you spend even 15 to 30 minutes a day listening to English, using the tips and tools we've shared, you'll notice progress in just a few weeks. But consistency is key.
Absolutely. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small victories along the way. Every word or phrase you understand is a step forward.
One more question. Can I learn to understand fast speech without speaking myself?
Yes, you can improve your listening without speaking, but combining the two is even better. When you practice speaking, it reinforces what you hear. Try repeating phrases you hear in movies or podcasts. It's like listening and speaking practice rolled into one.
That's great advice, Sarah. All right, let's wrap things up.
Sure thing. Today we covered why native speakers seem to talk fast, shared tips to help you understand them, and gave you practical exercises and tools to improve your listening skills.
And remember, the journey to understanding fast speech is like learning any new skill. It takes time, practice, and patience. Keep listening, keep practicing, and don't be afraid to make mistakes.
We're so proud of you for taking this step in your English learning journey. You're doing amazing, and we're here to help you every step of the way.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with others who might find it helpful.
And feel free to leave us a comment or send us your questions. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and remember, you've got this.
Bye, everyone. See you in the next episode.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and with me, as always, is our amazing co-host, Julia.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here again. Jason, today's topic is something so many English learners struggle with, but often don't talk about.
Absolutely, Julia. Today, we're going to talk about something that holds a lot of people back: the fear of speaking English. If you've ever felt afraid, shy, or nervous when speaking English, you are not alone.
Yes, so many learners experience this fear. Maybe you're scared of making mistakes, or maybe you worry about what people will think. That fear is normal, but here's the good news. You can overcome it.
Exactly. In this podcast, we're going to explore why this fear happens, and we'll share some really helpful tips to help you build confidence and speak English without fear.
And remember, mistakes are a part of learning. So stick with us until the end, because we'll also share some motivational advice to help you start speaking English today with more confidence.
So let's get started. Are you ready, Julia?
I'm ready, Jason. Let's dive in.
All right, let's talk about the big question. Why are so many people afraid to speak English? Julia, I think a lot of learners can relate to this feeling.
Yes, Jason. One of the main reasons people feel afraid is the fear of making mistakes. When you're learning English, you might worry that you'll say the wrong word, use the wrong grammar, or pronounce something incorrectly.
Exactly. And this fear often stops people from even trying to speak. They think, if I make a mistake, people will laugh at me or judge me.
Right. I've heard learners say things like, I don't want to look stupid, or I feel embarrassed when I make errors. But here's the truth. Mistakes are part of learning. No one speaks perfectly all the time, even native speakers.
That's so true. And another reason learners feel afraid is a lack of confidence. If you're not used to speaking English often, it's natural to feel nervous. Maybe you think your vocabulary is limited or your accent isn't good enough.
Yes. For example, imagine you're in class and the teacher asks you a question in English. You know the answer, but you freeze. Or you're at work and someone says, "Can you explain this in English?" Suddenly, you feel stuck because you're afraid of saying the wrong thing.
I think we've all had moments like that, Julia. And sometimes the fear comes from past experiences. Maybe someone corrected you in a harsh way, or you tried to speak and someone laughed. That can make you feel afraid to try again.
Yes, those experiences can really hold people back, but we want our listeners to know you're not alone. So many people around the world have this same fear, and it's totally normal.
Absolutely. The most important thing is to recognize the fear and understand why it happens. Once you know what's stopping you, you can start to work on overcoming it.
That's right, Jason. And don't worry, we're here to help you with practical tips in the next part of this podcast.
Exactly. So if you've ever felt afraid to speak English, don't feel bad. It's a common problem, but we're going to show you how to beat it. Now that we've talked about why people feel afraid to speak English, let's take a closer look at this fear. Julia, I think it's important to understand where this fear really comes from.
You're absolutely right, Jason. When we feel afraid to speak English, it's not just about the language. It's about how we think and feel. It's a mix of emotions like nervousness, embarrassment, and even self-doubt.
Exactly. For example, many people worry about being judged. They think, what if people think my English is bad? Or what if they laugh at my mistakes? These thoughts create fear, and fear stops us from speaking.
Yes, Jason. And a lot of this comes from wanting to be perfect. People feel they need to speak perfect English. No grammar mistakes, no wrong words, and no accent. But the truth is, perfection is impossible, even for native speakers.
That's so true. Another thing that causes fear is comparing yourself to others. Maybe you hear someone speaking fluently and you think, why can't I speak like that? But what you don't see is the practice and effort that person put in.
Exactly. It's easy to feel like you're not good enough, but remember, everyone starts somewhere. Nobody wakes up one day and speaks perfect English. It takes time, practice, and mistakes.
Yes, and the important thing is to understand that making mistakes doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning. Every time you try to speak, you're getting better.
That's a great point, Jason. Once you understand that this fear comes from your thoughts, like the fear of judgment or the need for perfection, you can start to change those thoughts.
Exactly. Speaking English is not about being perfect, it's about communicating. If you focus on sharing your ideas instead of worrying about mistakes, you'll start to feel more confident.
Yes, it's all about changing your mindset. Instead of thinking, I'm afraid to make a mistake, try thinking, every time I speak, I'm improving.
That's a powerful idea, Julia. Once you understand your fear and where it comes from, you can start to take steps to overcome it. And in the next part, we're going to share some simple and practical tips to help you do that.
I can't wait for that, Jason, so stay with us, everyone. There's so much more to come.
Now that we understand where the fear of speaking English comes from, let's talk about how to overcome it. Julia, I know our listeners are looking for practical tips, so let's give them some easy strategies they can use right away.
Absolutely, Jason. Let's start with the first tip. Focus on communication, not perfection. Remember, the goal of speaking English is to share your ideas, not to be perfect. Mistakes are okay. If someone understands you, then you're doing a great job.
That's such an important point, Julia. Here's another tip. Start small. If you're afraid to speak, begin with simple sentences or phrases. For example, you can practice saying things like, "How are you?" or "Can I have a coffee, please?" in everyday situations.
Exactly. Small steps will help you build confidence over time. And this brings us to the third tip. Practice in a safe environment. Find someone you trust, a friend, a family member, or even a language partner online, and practice speaking with them.
Yes, when you practice with someone supportive, you'll feel more relaxed. Another great idea is to talk to yourself in English. It might sound funny, but it works. You can describe your day, talk about your plans, or practice new words by saying them out loud.
I love that tip, Jason. And here's one more. Listen and repeat. If you're watching a podcast, a video, or a movie in English, try repeating sentences after the speaker. This will improve your pronunciation and make you feel more comfortable speaking.
That's a great way to practice. Another tip is to join English-speaking groups or communities. Yes, it could be a small study group, a club, or even an online chat group. Speaking with others, even just a little, will help you get used to using English.
Yes, and don't forget to celebrate your progress. Every time you speak, no matter how small, you are improving. Don't focus on what you did wrong, focus on what you did right.
Exactly, Julia. Overcoming fear is about taking action, even when you feel nervous. Remember, the more you speak, the more confident you'll become.
That's right. So start small, practice daily, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're learning, and every step counts.
Those are some simple and effective tips, Julia. If our listeners start using even one or two of these, they'll see big improvements.
I agree, Jason. So to everyone listening, don't let fear stop you. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and you'll get better every day.
Before we wrap up, we want to leave you with some motivation. If you feel afraid to speak English, remember this. Every expert was once a beginner.
Yes, everyone starts from zero. Even the most fluent English speakers made mistakes when they were learning. Mistakes don't mean failure, they mean progress.
That's right. Imagine where you could be 6 months or a year from now if you just keep trying. The key is to keep speaking, no matter how you feel. Every time you try, you get a little better.
And don't compare yourself to others. Your journey is unique. Celebrate every small victory, whether it's ordering food in English, having a short conversation, or even learning a new word. You're doing great.
Yes, confidence comes from action. The more you speak, the less afraid you'll feel. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and remember, you are capable of improving.
So don't give up. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. You're not alone, and we're cheering for you every step of the way.
Exactly, you've got this. Believe it and keep going.
We believe in you.
All right, everyone. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope this podcast has helped you understand your fear of speaking English and given you some practical tips to overcome it.
Yes, remember, fear is normal, but you can beat it. Start small, keep practicing, and focus on progress, not perfection.
Exactly. Don't let fear stop you. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast for more helpful tips and lessons.
Thank you so much for listening. Keep practicing, stay positive, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Take care, everyone. You've got this. Bye for now.
Hello, and welcome to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, your host, and today we're diving into a topic that so many English learners struggle with: the fear of speaking English. If you've ever felt nervous, embarrassed, or even completely stuck when trying to speak English, you are not alone. And guess what? We're here to help.
Yes, hi everyone. I'm Julia, your co-host, and I know that speaking English can feel scary at times. Maybe you're afraid of making mistakes, or you think others will judge you. But today, we're going to talk about why this happens and how you can overcome it. Trust me, by the end of this episode, you'll feel a lot more confident about speaking English.
That's right, Julia. In this episode, we'll explore why people feel afraid to speak English, the fear of making mistakes and being judged, how to build confidence and speak more naturally, simple exercises to practice speaking without fear. So if you've ever hesitated to speak English in public, in class, or even with friends, stay with us. This episode is for you.
Absolutely. And remember, we're here to support you, so don't be too hard on yourself. Everyone learns at their own pace, and the key is to keep going. All right, Jason, shall we start with why so many people feel afraid to speak English?
Let's do it. Let's talk about where this fear comes from and why it's so common. So, Julia, let's dive into it. Why do you think so many people feel afraid to speak English?
Well, Jason, I think the biggest reason is fear of making mistakes. A lot of English learners worry that if they say something wrong, people will laugh at them or think they're not smart, and that fear can stop them from even trying.
That's so true. But here's the thing. Making mistakes is part of learning. Think about how babies learn their first language. They don't worry about grammar or pronunciation. They just try, and little by little, they improve.
Exactly. But unfortunately, many adults feel pressure to be perfect. They think, I need to speak English without mistakes before I talk to people, but that's impossible. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Right. And another big reason people feel afraid is lack of confidence. If someone hasn't practiced speaking much, they might think, I can't do it. My English isn't good enough.
Yes, and that lack of confidence can make them avoid speaking situations. They might stay silent in class, avoid talking to native speakers, or even feel nervous when ordering food in English.
Yeah, I've heard this from so many learners. And here's something interesting. Some people understand English really well, but they're too scared to speak. Have you ever met someone like that, Julia?
Oh, all the time. Many students can read and listen in English perfectly, but when it's time to speak, they freeze. It's like their brain knows the words, but their mouth won't say them.
Ha ha, yes. And, another reason people feel afraid is the fear of being judged. They think native speakers or other learners will criticize their accent or grammar.
But the truth is, most people don't care. When I hear someone speaking a second language, I don't think, oh, they made a mistake. I think, wow, they're learning a new language. That's amazing.
Exactly. And most native speakers actually appreciate when someone tries to speak English. They don't expect you to be perfect. They just want to understand you.
So true, but I know overcoming that fear isn't easy. That's why we're going to talk about practical tips to help our listeners feel more comfortable speaking English.
Yes. Let's start with one of the biggest fears, the fear of making mistakes, and how to overcome it. So, Julia, let's talk about something that stops so many people from speaking English: the fear of making mistakes. Why do you think people are so scared of this?
Well, Jason, I think it comes from school. Many of us were taught that making mistakes is bad. If you made a mistake in a test, you lost points. If you made a mistake in class, sometimes the teacher or other students corrected you in a way that felt embarrassing.
That's so true. A lot of people believe that if they make a mistake, others will laugh at them or think they're not smart. But actually, mistakes are a natural part of learning. Have you ever made funny mistakes while learning a new language, Julia?
Oh, definitely. When I was learning Spanish, I once said embarazada because I thought it meant embarrassed, but actually it means pregnant. I was so embarrassed, but guess what? I never forgot that word again.
Haha, that's a great example. And that's the thing, mistakes actually help us learn. When we make a mistake, our brain remembers it, and we improve.
Exactly. But Jason, I know some learners might still feel shy. They might think, what if people judge me? What would you say to them?
I would say this: most people don't care about your mistakes. They just want to understand you. Think about when you hear someone speaking your language with mistakes. Do you judge them, or do you appreciate their effort?
Right. Most people actually respect and admire you for trying. And here's something important. Even native speakers make mistakes.
Yes, native speakers sometimes forget words, use the wrong grammar, or mispronounce things. But they keep talking anyway. That's the difference. Instead of being afraid of mistakes, they just move on.
So true. And here's a great tip for our listeners. Instead of thinking, oh no, I made a mistake, think great. I learned something new.
I love that. Learning a language is like learning to ride a bike. You'll fall a few times, but every time you get up, you get better and stronger.
Exactly. So, to everyone listening, don't let the fear of mistakes stop you. Every mistake is a step forward.
Well said, Julia. Now let's move on to another big fear, the fear of being judged by others. All right, Julia, let's talk about something that really holds people back, the fear of being judged by others. So many English learners are afraid to speak because they think people will laugh at them or criticize their mistakes. Have you ever felt this way when learning a new language?
Oh, absolutely. When I first started learning French, I was so nervous to speak because I thought native speakers would judge me. But you know what I realized? Most people don't judge you. They just appreciate that you're trying.
That's so true. But many learners still worry about this. Maybe they're afraid their accent sounds funny or their grammar isn't perfect. But let's ask this. When you hear someone speaking English with an accent, do you judge them?
Of course not. I actually admire them. Speaking a second language takes courage, and accents show that you're learning something new.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. Even native English speakers have different accents. Someone from the US sounds different from someone from the UK or Australia. So having an accent is totally normal.
Right. And I think a big reason people fear judgment is because they compare themselves to others. Maybe they hear someone speaking fluently and think, I'll never sound like that. But the truth is, everyone learns at their own pace.
Yes, instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to your past self. Are you better than you were 6 months ago? 1 year ago? If yes, that's all that matters.
That's a great mindset. And here's another tip. Most people are too busy thinking about themselves to judge you.
Haha, that's so true. We often worry, what will they think of me? But in reality, most people aren't even paying attention to your mistakes.
Exactly. And even if someone corrects you, it's not a bad thing. They're just trying to help. The best way to improve is to keep speaking and learning from feedback.
Absolutely. So, to our listeners, don't let the fear of judgment stop you. Speak with confidence. Most people will respect and support you, and the more you practice, the better you'll get.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about how to build confidence so our listeners can speak English without fear.
So, Julia, we've talked about the fears that stop people from speaking English. Fear of making mistakes and fear of being judged. Now, let's focus on something really important how to build confidence in speaking English.
Yes, confidence is key. If you believe in yourself, you'll speak more, learn more, and improve faster. But Jason, I know a lot of people struggle with this. So, what's the first step to building confidence?
Well, I think the first step is practice, practice, practice. The more you speak, the more comfortable you become. It's like riding a bike. You might feel shaky at first, but the more you do it, the easier it gets.
That's so true. And you don't always need a partner to practice. You can talk to yourself in English, describe your day, practice common phrases, or even record yourself speaking.
Yes, recording yourself is a great way to track your progress. When you listen to your old recordings, you'll realize how much you've improved, and that will boost your confidence.
I love that. Another great tip is to start with small conversations. You don't have to give a big speech right away. Just try simple things, like ordering food in English or asking a question at a store.
Exactly. Start small, and as you get comfortable, challenge yourself to speak more. And here's another trick: fake confidence. Even if you're nervous, act confident. Stand tall, speak clearly, and smile.
Oh, I love that. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, and the more you pretend to be confident, the more natural it becomes.
Absolutely. And don't forget, surround yourself with English. Listen to podcasts, watch movies, and read books in English. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more confident you'll feel.
Yes, and here's one last tip: celebrate your progress. Every time you have a conversation, even a short one, be proud of yourself. Every small step is a big achievement.
That's right. So to everyone listening, don't wait until you feel ready. Start speaking today. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about another big challenge: how to practice speaking English when you don't have a partner.
So, Julia, we've talked about building confidence, but there's something even deeper that affects how well people speak English: their mindset. How we think about learning makes a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely. If you have a negative mindset like, "I'll never be good at English," or "I always make mistakes," you'll feel stuck. But if you have a positive mindset like, "I'm improving every day," or "Mistakes help me learn," you'll feel more confident and motivated.
That's so true. Many learners focus too much on what they can't do instead of what they can do. But here's the truth. Learning English is a journey, not a race. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going.
Yes, and there's a famous concept called the growth mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that with effort and practice, they can improve. But people with a fixed mindset think that their skills are stuck and they can't change.
I love that. So, if someone listening feels like they're not good at English, they need to change that thought. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at English," say, "I'm getting better every day."
Yes, the words we say to ourselves are powerful. If you say, "I'm too shy to speak," you'll believe it. But if you say, "I'm learning to be more confident," your brain will start to believe that too.
That's a great point. And another thing, don't compare yourself to others. Everyone learns at a different speed. The important thing is that you're learning and improving.
Exactly. And one more tip: celebrate small wins. If you had a short conversation in English today, be proud of yourself. If you learned a new word, celebrate that every small step matters.
That's so true. So, to everyone listening, believe in yourself, think positively, and keep going. Your mindset is your greatest tool for success.
Well said, Jason. Now let's talk about the final and most important part: taking action and speaking without fear.
All right, Julia, we've talked about mindset, confidence, and overcoming fear. But now, Let's give our listeners something practical, real exercises they can do to reduce their fear of speaking English.
Yes, because confidence doesn't just appear, you have to build it with practice. So, Jason, what's the first exercise?
Well, one simple exercise is mirror speaking. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself in English. It could be a short introduction, your daily routine, or even just describing how you feel.
I love that speaking in front of a mirror helps you see yourself speaking, which makes you more comfortable. Plus, it helps with pronunciation and body language.
Exactly. And here's another one, shadowing. This means listening to a native speaker and repeating what they say right after them. You can do this with a podcast, movie, or YouTube video.
Yes, shadowing helps you sound more natural because you're copying real pronunciation and rhythm. And it's great because you don't have to create sentences. You just repeat.
Right. Another great exercise is recording yourself. Pick a topic, speak for 1 or 2 minutes, and then listen to your recording. At first, it might feel strange, but over time, you'll see your progress.
That's such a great way to track improvement. And if you're feeling really brave, you can send your recording to a friend or teacher for feedback.
Yes, and here's one more. Question and answer practice. Write down common questions in English, then practice answering them. You can even use voice assistants like Siri or Google Assistant to talk with you.
Oh, that's a great idea. And for those who don't have a partner, they can also think in English. Throughout the day, try describing things in your mind in English instead of your native language.
Exactly. So, to our listeners, pick 1 or 2 of these exercises and start today. The more you practice, the less fear you'll feel.
Well said, Jason. Now, let's wrap up with our final section, a motivational message for our listeners.
Wow, Julia, what a great conversation today. We've talked about why people feel afraid to speak English, the fear of making mistakes, the fear of being judged, how to build confidence, the power of mindset, and practical exercises to reduce fear.
Yes, Jason. And the most important message we want to share is don't let fear stop you. Everyone makes mistakes, but mistakes are part of learning. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become.
Absolutely. So, to everyone listening, start today. Pick one of the exercises we talked about and practice speaking English every day. Even small steps will lead to big progress.
And if you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe and follow us for more English learning tips. Also share this episode with a friend who is learning English. It might help them too.
That's right. And we'd love to hear from you. What's your biggest challenge in speaking English? Leave a comment or message us with your thoughts.
Thank you for joining us today. Keep practicing, stay confident, and remember, you can do this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Personal Growth Talks podcast, where we discuss tips and strategies to help you grow, thrive, and become the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Jason, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Julia. Julia, how are you feeling today?
Hi, Jason. I'm feeling fantastic, and I'm so excited about today's episode. It's such an important topic, especially as we approach the new year. It's the perfect time for reflection, growth, and setting our sights on becoming the best version of ourselves in 2025.
Exactly. In today's episode, we're going to dive into practical ways to identify where you are right now, set powerful goals for the new year, build positive habits, and overcome challenges that might hold you back. By the end of this podcast, you'll have actionable steps to start your journey toward personal transformation.
That's right, Jason. Whether you're someone who's just beginning your personal growth journey or you've been working on yourself for years, there's always room to grow and improve. 2025 can truly be your breakthrough year.
So, Grab a notebook, settle in, and let's get started. Let's kick things off by talking about where it all begins. Understanding yourself and identifying your starting point. All right, Julia. Before we can talk about setting goals and building habits, let's start with the most important step. Figuring out where you are right now. Why do you think self-awareness is so crucial for personal growth?
It's absolutely essential, Jason. If you don't know your starting point, how can you map out the journey to where you want to be? Self-awareness helps you understand your strengths, weaknesses, and the areas in your life that need improvement. It's like the foundation of a house. Without it, nothing else can stand strong.
That's a great analogy. One way to start is by asking yourself some honest questions. For example, what are my biggest strengths? What am I proud of achieving this year? What are the habits or patterns holding me back? Reflecting on these questions can give you a clear picture of where you're at.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to dig deep. It might even help to write your answers in a journal or talk them through with someone you trust. Another useful tool is feedback. Ask your friends, family, or colleagues for their perspective. Sometimes others can see things about us that we might overlook.
That's so true, and once you've identified your strengths, you can use them to your advantage. At the same time, recognizing your weaknesses isn't about being hard on yourself. It's about finding opportunities for growth.
Yes, and one thing to remember is to be kind to yourself during this process. Personal growth isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Accepting yourself as you are today is the first step to becoming who you want to be tomorrow.
Absolutely, Julia. So to everyone listening, take some time to reflect on your starting point. Write down your thoughts, be honest with yourself, and get ready to take that first step toward growth. Coming up next, we'll talk about setting clear and actionable goals for 2025. Now that you've identified where you are, the next step is to figure out where you want to go. Julia, when it comes to setting goals, why is it so important to be intentional?
Great question, Jason. Setting intentional goals gives your life direction. Without clear goals, it's like driving without a destination. You're just wandering aimlessly. Goals give you something to strive for and keep you focused, especially when things get tough.
Absolutely. But it's not just about setting any goals, it's about setting the right goals. One of the best methods is using the SMART framework. That means your goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Julia, can you break that down for us?
Of course. Let's start with specific. Instead of saying, I want to get better at English, say, I want to improve my English vocabulary by learning 10 new words every week. Being clear about what you want makes it easier to take action.
Right. And measurable means tracking your progress. For example, you can test yourself weekly on those 10 new words to see how well you've retained them. What about achievable?
This one's so important. Your goals should stretch you, but they also need to be realistic. If you've never run a mile, setting a goal to run a marathon next month might be too much. Start with something manageable, like running a 5K in 3 months.
Great point. Next is relevant, which is all about making sure your goals align with your bigger life vision. For instance, if your dream is to travel, improving your English or saving money for a trip would be highly relevant goals.
And finally, time-bound. This means setting a deadline. Saying, I want to save $1,000 by June is much more effective than just saying, I want to save money. Deadlines keep you accountable.
Exactly, and let's not forget the importance of writing your goals down. Studies have shown that people who write down their goals are significantly more likely to achieve them. It's a simple step that makes a big difference.
Yes. And another tip is to break big goals into smaller, manageable steps. For example, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds in 2025, start with a goal to lose 2 pounds a month. Small wins build momentum.
That's so true, Julia. So to everyone listening, take some time to set your SMART goals for 2025. Write them down, make them actionable, And most importantly, make sure they inspire you. Up next, we'll talk about building the habits you need to achieve those goals. All right, we've identified where you are and set some exciting goals for 2025. But goals are just the destination. Habits are the engine that gets you there. Julia, why are habits so powerful in personal growth?
Great question, Jason. Habits are the small actions we do consistently, and they have a compounding effect over time. Think of it like planting seeds. One habit might not seem like much today, but over a year, it can grow into something life-changing. The best part? Good habits make success almost automatic.
That's a great way to put it. So let's talk about how to build these habits. One of the best strategies I've found is to start small. If you want to read more, don't aim to finish a book a week right away. Start with reading for just 5 minutes a day.
Exactly. Starting small not only makes the habit more manageable, but it also helps you build confidence. Once that habit feels easy, you can gradually increase the effort. Another tip is to tie your new habit to an existing one. This is called habit stacking. For example, if you want to meditate daily, do it right after brushing your teeth in the morning.
That's a fantastic idea, Julia. I also think environment plays a big role. If your environment makes it easier to stick to a habit, you're more likely to succeed. For instance, if your goal is to eat healthier, keep fresh fruits and vegetables in plain sight and avoid buying junk food.
Yes, setting up your environment is a game changer. And let's not forget about tracking progress. Whether it's using an app or simply checking off a habit tracker, seeing your streak can be super motivating. It's like giving yourself a small reward every day.
Speaking of rewards, celebrating small wins is crucial. Even something as simple as saying, "Great job," to yourself can reinforce the habit. But on the flip side, Julia, what about breaking bad habits? Any tips there?
Absolutely. The key to breaking bad habits is replacing them with better ones. For example, if you tend to scroll through your phone in bed, replace that with reading a book or listening to a relaxing podcast. And, like with building habits, make the bad habit harder to do by adjusting your environment. Maybe keep your phone in another room at night.
That's such practical advice. And one more thing, be patient with yourself. Building habits takes time, and it's okay to slip up occasionally. What matters is getting back on track and staying consistent in the long run.
Exactly, Jason. So, to everyone listening, pick one habit to start today. Remember, small actions done consistently can lead to massive results. Up next, we'll tackle something we all face: how to overcome challenges and setbacks on your journey.
So, Julia, we've talked about setting goals and building habits, but let's face it, life doesn't always go according to plan. Challenges and setbacks are inevitable. How do you think people should approach these obstacles?
That's such an important topic, Jason. Challenges are a natural part of growth, and instead of seeing them as roadblocks, we need to view them as opportunities to learn and grow stronger. The key is to stay resilient and flexible when things don't go as planned.
Absolutely. One of the first steps is to reframe your mindset. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" That small shift can turn frustration into motivation.
That's a great point. Another important strategy is to break big challenges into smaller, manageable pieces. For example, if you're overwhelmed by a big project at work, focus on completing just the first step. Sometimes, taking that one small action can make the rest feel less intimidating.
Yes, and I'd add that leaning on a support system is crucial. Whether it's friends, family, or a mentor, talking about your challenges can give you fresh perspectives and encouragement. You don't have to face everything alone.
Exactly. And let's not forget self-care. When we're stressed or overwhelmed, it's easy to neglect our well-being, but that's when we need it most. Simple things like getting enough sleep, eating well, and taking breaks can make a huge difference in how we handle challenges.
That's so true. I also think it's important to celebrate progress. even when it's small. For example, if you're learning a new skill and hit a plateau, remind yourself how far you've come instead of focusing on how far you still have to go.
Yes. And another tip is to keep your why in mind. Remembering the bigger purpose behind your goals can help you push through tough times. For instance, if you're working hard to improve your English, think about how it will open up new opportunities for you in the future.
Exactly, Julia. And sometimes it's okay to step back and take a break. Challenges can feel overwhelming if you try to push through without rest. Taking a moment to recharge can give you the clarity and energy you need to tackle them more effectively.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, remember, challenges are part of the journey. They don't define your progress unless you let them stop you. Every time you overcome a challenge, you become a stronger, more resilient version of yourself.
Well said, Julia. So if you're facing challenges, take a deep breath, reframe your mindset, and take one small step forward. Coming up next, we'll discuss how to stay consistent and motivated throughout the year. We've covered a lot so far, setting goals, building habits, and overcoming challenges. But here's the big question, Julia. How do you stay consistent and motivated over the long haul?
That's the golden question, Jason. Consistency is what transforms goals into results, but it's not always easy to stay motivated every single day, especially when life gets busy. A great starting point is to focus on your why. When you have a clear reason behind your actions, it's easier to keep going even when motivation dips.
That's such a good reminder. Another helpful tip is to create a routine. When something becomes part of your daily or weekly schedule, it requires less effort to stick with it. For example, if you want to work out, pick a specific time each day, like 7 a.m. after your coffee.
Absolutely. Routines are powerful because they take the decision-making out of the equation. And speaking of decisions, simplifying your environment can help too. For instance, if you're trying to learn English, set up a specific space where you study and keep all your resources handy. That way, you're not wasting time searching for things.
Great point, Julia. And I think rewards are another big motivator. Celebrating small milestones along the way can keep you excited about the journey. Let's say you've completed a month of consistent practice. You could treat yourself to something special, like a fun activity or a small gift.
Yes, rewards work wonders. But Jason, what about those days when motivation is just nowhere to be found? How can people push through those tough days?
On those days, it's important to rely on discipline rather than motivation. Motivation is like a spark. It gets you started, but discipline is what keeps the fire burning. Even if you don't feel like doing the full task, try doing just a little. For example, if you're too tired for a full workout, do a 5-minute stretch instead.
I love that, Jason. And another thing that helps is having an accountability partner. When someone is checking in on your progress or cheering you on, it's much harder to give up. This could be a friend, a coach, or even an online community.
That's such a good idea. And let's not forget the importance of positive self-talk. Instead of saying, I'll never be fluent in English, say, I'm improving step by step and I'll get there. How you talk to yourself can either motivate you or discourage you.
Exactly. And one last tip. Be flexible. Life isn't perfect, and sometimes things won't go as planned. If you miss a day or two, don't let guilt hold you back. Just refocus and get back on track. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. It means showing up more often than not.
Well said, Julia. So to all our listeners, consistency and motivation are like two sides of a coin. Build routines, celebrate wins, and stay kind to yourself along the way. Coming up, we'll wrap up with some final tips on becoming the best version of yourself in 2025. All right, Julia, we've had an amazing conversation today. Before we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with some actionable tips they can start using right away to become the best version of themselves in 2025. What's your first tip?
My first tip is simple. Take one small action today. Don't wait for the perfect moment or a new year to start working on your goals. It could be writing down your goals, reading one page of a book, or even just drinking an extra glass of water for your health.
That's a great one, Julia. My tip is to reflect regularly. Spend a few minutes at the end of each day or week reviewing your progress. Ask yourself what went well, what didn't, and what you can improve. Reflection helps you stay focused and adjust your approach when needed.
I love that, Jason. My second tip is to surround yourself with positivity. This could be inspirational books, podcasts, or people who motivate you to grow. Remember, your environment has a huge impact on your mindset and actions.
Absolutely. And here's my final tip. Be patient with yourself. Growth is a journey, not a sprint. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it feels. Consistency and kindness to yourself are the keys to lasting change.
Well said, Jason. So, to everyone listening, take these tips and start applying them one step at a time. The best version of yourself isn't created overnight. It's built through small, consistent actions over time.
Exactly. And remember, 2025 is your year to shine. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share this podcast with anyone who might need a little extra motivation.
Yes, and let us know in the comments what action you're taking today to start your journey. Until next time, stay positive and keep growing.
Take care, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We truly hope this episode has inspired you to take meaningful steps toward becoming the best version of yourself in 2025.
Remember, growth doesn't happen all at once. It's a journey of small, consistent actions. Every step you take brings you closer to your goals, so don't be afraid to start today.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from these tips.
And we'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you're doing to improve yourself this year? Let us know in the comments below. We're here to cheer you on.
That's all for today. Stay motivated, keep learning, and remember, you have what it takes to make 2025 your best year yet.
Take care, and we'll see you next time on the Personal Growth Talks